Thank you so much for coming back to the conversation. We're talking today with blues vocalist Molly Wilson. She's a girl from Chicago whose no-nonsense approach caused her to break barriers in the music industry. Molly has dedicated herself to uplifting herself, but really even more artists as she keeps going along the way. And part of that is an advocacy for artists' rights. Her music and activism sparked her to create the Earth Girl movement. Let's talk about Earth Girl movement. I love it. I'm loving it. I'm feeling it. I see it. But this is not just a catchy phrase. This is a way of life for you.
Yeah, and it has been for a long time. I kind of attribute it to all the women in my life, actually. Like my mother used to say, let's go apple picking, leaf picking. My grandmother always had a farm and a garden that we lived off of.
Yeah, you went to North Carolina for the summers, right?
And then in North Chicago, she always had her garden next to wherever she lived. Whether it was a senior home or whatever.
You grew up picking and chucking peas and the whole nine, right?
All of it.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, so the movement was kind of founded, I guess when I was younger. I had a group of girls that would do gardening, and in 2008 when I was here in Atlanta, I decided we need to be closer to the earth and understand what God has given us on earth for medicine, how to be better to the earth. I'm a big follower of Jane Fonda and Jane Goodall. And so from the animals to the earth, I try to, do my best to reduce our carbon impacts and teach people about, less plastic use.
How is that received, though, in the music industry? And I don't want to seem like I'm throwing shade on the music industry.
So let me tell you, it's so funny you say that.
When you're talking about carbon footprints and Jane Fonda.
No, people, believe it or not, when people hear it, especially our people, they feel it's just like the truth. The truth is just going to set you free. So like, for example, Mike Will, who's a huge producer, I started talking to him about healthy foods and cooking for them. And he'd say, Molly, look at my Whole Foods bag. Look at my, and then he had a festival, a green festival in his studio. So I feel like it rubs off on the girls.
Yeah.
And
speaking of the girls and the women, you're doing a lot of work in this space and in the industry to make sure that girls and women feel safe and heard.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got our own studio. It's called Stonewood Studios, and we have Stonewood Ranch. And so we create a safe place for women to come and record. But we also have camps that are monthly, that are supported by brands that we love.
And I want you to unpack that for me just a little bit more, because when you talk about a safe space to record, there are conversations about what the industry and just recording studio life can be like. Explain for those who don't
I never
understand.
Experienced it just because of my tough nature, but after I remember being on a Grammy panel once, and the young lady raised her hand. She said, have you ever been harassed? How did you feel being the only woman in the room? And I said, you know what? I never really noticed being the only one in the room, but I grew up with 34 boy cousins.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So my life was different. So when they started telling me, it made me want to protect them. And so
because they were sharing experiences that were very different.
It made me angry.
Yeah.
And so I've created safe spaces for women. I've done marketing. Shout out to Paramount, because only 7% of the music that we hear is created by women. And they helped Earth Girl create a D&I program. Anita, Rochelle, Sabrina, the women over there, they came down, showed them how to do their split sheets. It's not just about having a safe place to record. It's not just about, not being harassed. It's about how's your money being used?
Understanding the business.
How is the business done?
Right.
So, it's been
because there's still not as much conversation about that, right?
Not at all. We play.
You just put me on. I just play my music. I want to record
it's
it.
It's about fame for most people, which is sad, because music, if you think about where music originated, where I grew up in the church. And so that's where I got my start. And so for me, I always push spirituality. I push you being able to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of having be held hostage for an engineer.
Right. And that's a good point too. And then, so what is it that you like to convey to women here in spaces like this in terms of pushing through?
I think we're stronger together. I mean, because people are like, oh, you've helped T.I. and Hustle Gang, 2 Chainz and Street Execs, Future and Free Bands, Wiz and, the women have their mom.
Wow.
Or the lady at the bank. These guys have guys, like if you look at Tip, he's
Whole
got
teams.
Dick, Doug,
Yes.
and those guys who've been with him since grade school.
Yeah.
This guy does the merch. This guy does the marketing. So my push for Earth Girl is that you find your tribe, because there's women out here, especially out here with Clark and Spelman. We have so many Earth Girls in the HBCUs around the country that
true.
support and help each other and say, Molly, we find our tribe. So for me, it's we're stronger together.
Yeah.
We're not victims. We
Right.
support each other. We're kind to one another, and together we rise. Those are our mantras.
Right. We are collaborating, not competing.
I mean, look at the old queens back in the day. This queen in Africa would go visit this queen in France. I mean,
Right.
it was
Exchange
the
the
thing
goods,
until-
exchange resources,
Yeah,
all of
and
that.
I see a lot of women who want to be the only woman in the room, and I want to change that.
We want all
We
the
are
sisters
stronger.
to
Look at
win.
the
We want
rap
the women
industry
to
is
win.
tight because they came together in Atlanta
Yeah.
and supported and collabed.
Decades ago. Listen, before we go, I want you to tell people where they can find you on social media and
So
find
on
more about the
social
programs.
media, my name is Molly Wilson, M-A-L-I, like
Yes,
the country.
like the
so
country.
It's IAM_Molly.
All right, good deal. And that's where they can find information about
yeah.
all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful.
And earthangelworldwide.com is our nonprofit.
Wonderful. All right. It's time. It's time. You ready for some blues?
Sure.
I know I am.
I call it the Sunshine Blues.
The Sunshine Blues. Of course you call it the Sunshine Blues. Look at you. You're glowing.
Thank
Don't go anywhere, folks, because after the break, Molly shows off her soulful Chicago Sunshine Blues roots with a performance of No Place Like Home. We'll be right back. Hey there, Portia here. Listen, that was a good conversation, wasn't it? Want to see the rest of it? Just go to portiashow.com, scroll down until you see that particular episode. But listen, before you scroll on out of here, I need you to do me a favor, please. Like, comment, let us know what you thought of that episode, and subscribe. And if you already are a subscriber, we sure appreciate you. In the meantime, we'll be sure to see you on the next episode of Portia, and you can catch us weeknights on Fox Soul as well. Tell your friends. Tell them to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.